Hello and welcome to the Movie Podcast. My name is Anthony, and thank you all for joining us today. You probably know the spiel. I'm always joined by my two amigos, Daniel and Shay. How you doing, both of you? You guys are you guys not on strike, right? Like I can.
We're not on strike. The podcast
is you in front of us.
Hold on. When do we get to go on strike?
I think as soon as possible. I mean, Anthony's not been paying our wages.
No. No. Yeah, I'm doing good. I mean, as well as you can in these uncertain times of movies and actors and writers and greedy studios. I mean, what can you do?
And Shay?
Same here. I am living as much as I can. I am sad that movies are like, I feel like, since COVID-19, I don't know if you heard about this, movies have just been in such a weird place. It feels like Russian roulette every day with movies aren't coming to theaters. And all of a sudden it felt like for a bit like, oh, we're back to normal. Yeah. And now strikes are here to again remind us of how sad everything is.
But is it like when you really look at this strike and we go into the writers and the studios and the actors, isn't this just Hollywood as a whole, just everything that's happened in the past 60, 70 years is now kind of boiled to the top? And this is what's happening. Yeah. Because like you could blame the studios for not paying them, and then you could blame actors who get paid too much, and other actors who don't even get paid at all. Then it's the same thing. It's like this melting pot of frustration that's now come out, and like now Hollywood is being affected, and us being affected too. Like us, like the general audience, just being affected. Do you feel like this is just that time where it needs to happen? It's like popping the pimple. You just gotta pop it and see what happens.
I think this is something that's been boiling to a point for a while, right? And I 100%, we were coming here for a while with streaming. When we look at the last time the writers were on strike was 2008, so streaming wasn't anything yet. Like Netflix was still coming into the mail to people. So I think that was already a huge thing with residuals and people not getting money for shows that are streaming. And then you have in this whole new layer of AI and all of this other stuff that we're getting into. So it's really, there's so many battles that are being fought now, and especially from the writer side. And I feel like maybe for a while, the actors were feeling a little bit more safer in the sense of, we're the actors. We don't have to worry about AI in our roles as much. But now AI is coming for everybody's role at this point, right? And
come for our roles. I heard the other day that you guys were shopping around an AI Shahbaz.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, when you like,
I was walking into the room and I heard like, and I'm like, oh, that sounds like me.
That sounds too close.
That sounds
to me.
like a lot like me.
And I mean, and we've joked about it before. Like, we have enough audio. We have hundreds of hours of our voices that we could train an AI to perfectly mimic our sound and and inflection of our voices, but we're never going to do that. Or maybe this is one right now. No, but it just sucks that we're in this time. Like, and we've said it before. We've said it on reviews and interviews that we've done, and we have more interviews coming out this week that we've done before the strike. This show wouldn't exist without writers or the actors bringing their words to life, right? So like, we need movies, we need shows, we need these things to happen.
It's a full circle thing, right? Like, everyone needs to be a part of it. Yeah, they just need to all be on the same page.
They do, and that's what's so frustrating when you're seeing, these executives making so much money. It's like, you have enough money just to end this, and then guess what? You're not going to be affected the rest of the year. There was that rumor that was coming out that Dune Part 2 was going to move, that The Color Purple was going to be shifted. Like,
Challengers shifted
from September to April. It's like, you have all these big movies that are going to be impacted, and now studios are going to start to feel it in their bottom line because they don't want to market a movie without a cast.
We really just got into it, eh? We didn't even you guys didn't even
do you
warm up the oven at all?
You
like give us some
As
time.
always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday.
I feel like he's mimicking us, by the way, but
watch out throughout the week for our review episodes and all the latest movies and series. Make sure to follow us at the Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok,
put up with it?
And Letterboxd.
And
don't forget
to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, join our Discord, and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. Check out our show notes for all those links and more.
We did get some write-ins. We got some write-ins.
We did get some write-ins.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That was my impersonation of both of you,
Both of us
as
combined.
one hybrid.
Yeah. Anthony's doing his
Shan.
own.
Day.
Anthony's doing his own like AI version of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did get some write-ins to the
Yeah.
show. One just this morning, which was funny.
Which
that,
is an interesting one.
Which is funny.
Let's
Do you
give it a read.
want me to read this one and then you read the nice one?
Yes.
So like, we got a tweet this morning again. This is from Squawk Hawk.
Great name so
Great
far.
name so far. And it just says, literally just starts at DBAPS, almost 30 minutes into this so-called podcast, and they aren't even talking about anything of substance. You need to get to the point, people. He must be new to the movie podcast.
You must be new. You must not have heard of the banter era.
No. He must be new to what we do on the show. Also, I was wondering, I'm like, how do I know this is related to the movie podcast? Maybe he just wants to share with me of a podcast he's listening to. Because he's like, Daniel, they aren't even talking about substance. I'm like, yeah, I know they aren't.
Or Daniel has another podcast.
You have another podcast,
where they
Daniel?
just talk about nothing.
Yeah. It's called Squawk Hawk.
Look, here's my thing. This is
No, that's fine. It's
but people call us out all the time. I don't give a shit. But like here, you're coming at us and saying almost 30 minutes into this so-called podcast. First of all, the name podcast is in the title, so it's not so-called.
Yeah.
Okay, it is called.
I was going to say
actually a good name for a podcast.
It's so-called podcast.
I'm sure there's already one.
But that's
out
why
there.
I'm just like, well, we thought
maybe-
there was a movie podcast
Maybe
as well
he's
too.
talking about the so-called podcast.
But that's what I'm saying, because he's talking. He was like,
Yeah.
yeah, Daniel, this so-called podcast, they
He
haven't got
must
to the
just be an
point.
admirer of you.
Yeah. I don't know.
A couple things. I mean, you're from Fresno, California. People can find you out easily. I mean, dude, come on. You're taking a picture of yourself in the car, like
we're
every
just
Republican. Oh yeah, I'm gonna roast this guy. Why not? He came at us.
Yeah.
You're in your car with sunglasses. Probably your wife kicked you out. That's why you had to do this picture.
Woo!
I don't know. It's all retweets of Elon Musk. So there's not really much to go off of here.
No, but I mean, just like, listen, if you're going to come with us for not having substance, at least give us some in your tweet.
Give us some context.
Do you know what I mean? Like if this is about the movie podcast,
If it
again,
is.
I can't confirm.
No one can confirm.
based on what he's said to us.
Yeah.
If this is about the podcast that we are on right now called the Movie Podcast, give us a little bit more context and give us a little bit more substance so we know how to address
Why
it.
did he come for you? Why didn't he just attack the show? Like he came right at you. He was like,
Yeah,
listen,
it's not
I
like
think it's because
Were you hosting it, maybe?
Daniel's like he's
like customer service.
he's the main. But when you think of the movie, it's Daniel's the face.
yeah.
I don't want to be the face.
It just happens to be.
But I feel like it's harder to find. It's like, okay, I'm listening to a show called The Movie Podcast. Let me look up DBAPS. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just strange that you
Yeah.
you came for me
don't
when
know.
the show, our username is the show name.
I know,
It's a lot. It's so much
weird.
easier to
I mean,
at us.
maybe he doesn't like you.
Yeah, he doesn't like you.
But again, I'm fine with people not liking me.
Yeah, it's
Just give
fine.
me a little bit more reasons to
Because he
why.
tweeted me and he's like, "Yo, you're so good at this podcast." And I was like,
Anthony's always full of
you.
substance.
Yeah.
Oh.
On this podcast. You know what? Here's the thing, man. Tell us next time. First of all, squawk_hawk. Please,
Mr. Hawk.
Mr. Hawk.
Mr. Hawk.
Please tweet us again if you can. Let us know what episode you're listening to. If you don't think there's anything of substance, we're sorry, but maybe it's just not for you, dude.
Okay, I'm just curious. So again,
We don't do
if
Elon
we're
Musk
going-
episodes.
We don't do
That's
Elon
maybe
Musk
why
episodes.
he wants that substance.
If we're going on the assumption again, because all we go on is an assumption that this is
All
about
we
the
have.
movie podcast.
All we have.
What episode of the movie podcast do you think he made it 30 minutes into
Oh, man.
that he's still waiting for substance? Because I'm thinking
That's
of
any
like,
episode of ours.
sorry,
Any episode of ours.
how long are we in right now? We're about 8 minutes deep,
Oh,
9
8
minutes deep.
yeah.
Because I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, if it's our Barbie review or if it's our Oppenheimer review, those are
right away.
about 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
I mean, we would have gotten to the substance already.
This must have been like a main episode.
This was a
Must have been
mainer.
about
Eh? It was a mainer, right?
Yeah.
Wait till he hears this mainer.
what about our good comments? Like the comments
Yeah,
where
Shay,
people praise us.
I've got some good comments.
This is what I'm actually really liking, and I'm hoping Apple adopts this feature because I'm really liking now that you can reply to specific episodes on Spotify.
Yeah,
I think
that
that's
too.
really cool.
Yeah, so we have some on our Barbie review here. This is from Ash Cito. Just watched the movie today and loved listening to this review. And then they put not the sad emoji, but like the crying happiness one.
Oh yeah, because it's like
Yeah.
he's like proud of us.
Yeah, well, it looks like they're a woman, but you never know.
I like it.
So yeah, thank you for that. Then we have Lily Squirrel saying, "I think it's gonna be such a good movie." Someone named Sarah said,
Wait, hold on. Lily Squirrel?
you never heard of them?
Is there any relation to Squawk Hawk? Like, is there like an outdoor animal?
No, because this person was kind.
Okay, so
this person
they're not
was nice
related
to us.
Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure.
They must have liked
Yeah.
us. Sarah said, loved the review and the movie. So that's great. This is for Barbie. Let's go to Oppenheimer and see what we have here. Someone said fair enough, which I mean, I think is good. Yeah.
And that's for Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm so excited. My BF and I are going in gold class. I have no idea what that means.
Gold class?
Yeah. Is that like a way you watch in the theater?
That's a type of class.
I guess. Yes, that must
For
make
sure.
sense.
There's a platinum,
Yeah.
gold, and then back of the line.
Back of the line
peasants.
class.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
gold class. Are these the cinemas that we'd see like on TikTok?
In
where it's
Korea?
like, where they're just like ridiculously beautiful?
It could be.
You know, it's funny. I was watching a YouTube video this morning on the biggest IMAX screen.
In Melbourne?
It's in Germany.
Oh, yeah, the Germany one. Yeah,
The Germany one, and they were showing like all the different types of theaters and the
Right.
different classes.
Oh,
Like, you can
classes.
see it's different,
Steerage.
but they all look great. Like no matter where you sit, it's going to
Yeah.
be a great, seat. But yeah, I was just shocked that, and this was also this theater was also in a smaller area. It was in a very busy.
Yeah, the Germany one is beautiful.
Yeah, they had like
it's gorgeous.
There was a theater with books, like literally a library.
I don't want
like
books
they
near my
had different
That's in
theaters.
movies?
Ew.
Different theaters for different aspect ratios of a film.
Yeah.
Which is great, but their IMAX it's 600 people. It looks like
That's crazy.
it's huge, and it has like a whole light show. But yeah, it was just every seat was, perfectly spaced out.
Right.
It's not like you're
Comfy.
crunched
Yeah.
between a bunch of people, and it's a great viewing experience.
It looks like the Village Cinemas are the ones that do the gold class, and it's in
Village
Australia.
Cinemas. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Well,
so
thank you.
Australia.
Yeah,
Thank
Australia.
you
That's my
to
Australian side.
Decky Weddings, Yeah.
What?
Decky Weddings, that's their name.
Oh, that's their name. Okay,
Yeah.
and now I understood it because of the
yeah,
Australian
the
accent.
Australian
Yeah,
accent. Oppenheimer, this is from someone named Daniel. Could be you.
it could be.
Could be. Oppenheimer is the best film of the year by far. JW, which I don't think means Jehovah's Witness. I think it means John Wick.
John Wick. Yeah, John Wick. Yeah,
And Spider-Verse
Jonathan
are
Wick.
good, but this is why I love cinema. Hashtag Cillian Murphy for best actor.
Oh God,
Daniel.
I thought he was gonna say, "Kill yourself." I was like, oh, no.
Kill yourself, Daniel.
My God.
And then someone wrote best movie since Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I mean, Oppenheimer and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 are very, very different films. So
Yeah. Also not too far apart, but I guess like we did also have a bunch of movies
Yeah.
in between there, which we'll talk a little bit more about later on with the placement of some movies that have come out this year.
and then for our Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning review, someone said nailed it again with 3 thumbs.
3 thumbs.
So maybe 1 thumb for each of us.
Or maybe they have 3 thumbs.
Maybe they're 3 thumbs. You can never. Yeah, you don't.
What's your
wanna-
username?
3 thumbs. It's Harrison Blair.
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford.
Imagine it was Harrison Ford.
Okay, well, thank you for all that decide to comment on our
Yeah,
stuff.
we love it. Look, any engagement, is
Positive
great
or
engagement,
negative,
like a like goes a long way, a comment goes even further. So please, give them to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
We're all-
at the end of the day, it's a view. A view's a view.
A view's a view.
A listen's a listen.
Yeah.
And
A watch is a watch.
watch is a watch.
Speaking of views and listens, though, Barbenheimer, where I know we're going to talk about it more, but just on the podcast side for us, Oppenheimer and Barbie are our best performing episodes ever in the span of like their opening days.
I love that.
Like it's like not even close how crazy the downloads are for these episodes.
Yeah.
In like a 3 to 4 day span compared
Crazy.
to what we had before. They're going gangbusters. So
I
thank
love
you for everyone who's been listening
I
and
love
watching.
it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's great to see and hear.
And
Go
watch.
go watch us on YouTube as well. We have them on YouTube
Yeah.
with our faces.
On YouTube, we're on the Barbie review. We're in the Playhouse.
Yes, we're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
In the
And in the Oppenheimer, we're in the bomb. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in the bomb. That's where we want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about the strike, because I know we started the show off with the strike,
Yeah.
and then we led into this. But
Yeah.
we're gonna get back to the strike.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about the strike. Strike is like one of the biggest things that is
Do we-
happening.
So
in
I thought
Hollywood.
you
Are
were
we doing the news?
That's
Sam?
what I thought. Are you
let's
teeing it
get
into the news?
Let's get
Do
into
you,
the news.
do you even care about the show anymore?
I
man?
do care, but it's Anthony's. This is my episode.
Oh,
I get
God,
to
it's
do what
on-
I want.
I thought
Squawk Hawk,
Dude, he's coming for us.
AJGALIRDI.
Squawk Hawk is coming for us,
You know
man.
where to find Anthony
He's like,
on
well,
Twitter.
they didn't do the jingle either.
No.
I don't know. That's what he sounds like, I assume.
Maybe.
Yeah, let's get into the news.
Hey, I don't know, man.
I like doing. See, people want
They want
diversity
Unhinged,
with our shows. They don't
Yeah,
want
the white guy, right?
the white guys doing the diverse.
But they don't want the jingle anymore.
No.
Anthony, you don't need the jingle.
Comment if you don't want the jingle anymore. And I swear to God, if you comment, better
Get ready to be put on blast on the show.
I will call you out.
Hollywood is on strike. Actors on strike. Writers on strike. UPS is gonna maybe be on strike. You know what would be fucked up? If the studios were like, you know what, fuck you guys, we're on strike too, and it's just like a whole fucking strike center, like the studios in the middle with the act, like, and then they have this.
What can the studios possibly strike?
That's what I'm saying. Like we're striking against our own strike, and it's just they have like an Anchorman scene where they just
they all fight,
and whoever survives, we create the new Hollywood.
See, the studios right now are losing about $600,000 a week by having everybody on strike. That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like it should be more.
It should be more, right?
Right?
But when it adds up per week, 52 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know the math on that, but
It's sad though, because it's like, the writers have been on strike since May.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like people didn't properly care about this fully until the actors went on strike.
well, yeah, they have the biggest voice, right?
Right. And they're the faces of the industry. So like, I'm just, at the end of the day, it's like what they're asking just for fair compensation and things like that. Like, I know there's such a huge divide on the actors, and because people look at it as like, oh, actors make millions of dollars, they're this, but it's like that's not the majority at all. That's like the 1% of actors, right? And the rest of them don't do that. So I'm just like, man, just sort this out. Like, you have the money to pay them, fix your budgets. Don't go crazy with it feels like it's an easy fix. Like, I feel like what the actors and the writers are asking for isn't crazy.
Isn't insane.
It's
like not insane.
But it's also shareholders, right? And shareholders means so much more now than they did 20, 30 years
it's
ago,
true, yeah.
right? So you get into the point of are streaming services actually making money? And I know their executives make 100 million and all
but
that.
They don't release the numbers of their shows, and I feel like that's part of it, where it's like streamers are now like, oh shoot,
we actually can't give you this money because
we've been fudging the numbers a little bit,
right?
Because like, how many times would we get a show or a movie come out? This is Netflix's most watched original film, released in May, with the title "The" in it. So you know what I mean? It's like very specific.
Like when we found out The Mother was like the most watched movie, and we're like, who watched this movie?
Yeah, no one. The Mother, a movie that no one has ever spoken about ever. And that's no shade to that movie. It is
what it is.
It released, and then nobody has spoken about it or watched it, or like.
But it's like the most watched movie. Like, we've talked about this movie right now more than anybody else has.
No, but like, and that's just one example, right? And Netflix is one example, but it's like streaming services don't release their numbers, and I'm curious if that's just like they're at a point now where it's like they have to start being truthful with it, because what are they hiding at this point? Like, why is it okay for television to release numbers, but streaming services can't? And I think that's because
there's no rules, there's no,
and they're scared
guidelines.
They're scared to see like how many views things are getting, how much they're not paying people, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. I feel like they're scared. Like, shoot, if we show how much people are actually watching The Office or watching whatever show on whatever streaming services, we're gonna owe people a lot more money,
a lot more,
because like Stranger Things will, like, the actors every single season they made more and more, right? And Stranger Things makes money for Netflix, but then you look at, for instance, Orange is the New Black, which had that viral video of one of the actresses who
Kimmy something. I'll look her up. Yeah,
she posted her her
residuals
in like one of those printout forms from the 90s. It's just so funny to see every episode and whatever they make, and it's just like $100, $150 or less.
Yeah.
And
she was making anything like $25
or $25. It just shows what, like, we need to know, or I guess my question is, does Netflix have to value their episode or their big IPs differently than all the, like, how do they measure that? How do they measure the Stranger Things phenomenon compared to Orange is the New Black, or what's another show, or The Witcher? And how do they value that show with the funds? Because I think everyone's falling into this one pit of, you only make $25.
Yeah, really quick. That was
so many episodes.
Kimiko Glenn. She played Brooke Soso on Orange is the New Black, and she was credited for 44 episodes. Yeah, that's crazy to only make like $25.
Yeah, like that's wild to me to think that we're at a spot that happens. But yeah, that's why I feel like, I mean, we're seeing streaming services are scared, right? And I feel like they're scared because they're removing content from their platforms. And we knew that once HBO Max or Max started doing it, we knew other platforms would follow suit. Disney Plus was a big one, started removing a bunch of stuff, even stuff as new that released, like Crater that came out in May.
Yeah.
And it's like they're removing it because they're getting their tax break off of it. And it's also going to stop them from having to pay any residuals. And when you see the residuals that people were even making, like, you guys don't even want to pay that small amount. Like, that's criminal. That's absolutely crazy that we're in a world that happens, that you could create something and just decide, one, like, there's two scenarios of this. There's one where you just don't release it at all, like Batgirl. Like, they shot a whole movie and they're not releasing it. Or you release something, it comes out, and less than a year later, it's gone. Like, you look at Willow, you look at Crater, you look at all these different shows that have come out in these movies. They're just lost media now because there's no physical release for them. They're just gone.
And these streaming services don't really, especially Netflix, they're not going to sell Stranger Things to air on a broadcast network. They want people to go to,
like HBO's doing with some stuff to Netflix. They're putting some HBO shows on Netflix,
right?
Yeah.
But that's also a big part of the residuals, is the ability to sell your
and
show
syndicate it,
and
right?
syndicate it. While Netflix doesn't have anything, so they'll make whatever they can make to get the viewer, but that doesn't mean that equals money.
No.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, we used to have the Nielsen rating system. I actually had a Nielsen rating box at my house.
Really, eh?
Yeah, and it would measure, that's why you would know, like, oh, Friends episode had 20 million viewers for that last blah, 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 blah. But there's nothing for Netflix. So how do we...
Well, they have the data. They know.
Right. But, like, how does advertisers, because you need advertisers, like, you can't run a streaming service now
they don't show it, right? And that's the problem.
So how do I sell this to you so then this money can go to you as well as the main people in your cast?
And that's the thing. Like, that's not, we use Netflix because Netflix, I feel like, is the verb for streaming services. It's like the Google.
It's like,
right? It's like oats.
Oh, you have Kleenex?
Yeah. Kleenex, yeah. But it's like, Netflix knows, like, oh, people watch 480,000 million years worth of Extraction 2. With, you know what I mean? Like, they'll drop like that. So I'm like, exactly where people started watching it, where they dropped off, where they stopped, where they paused, where they decided to continue watching at a later time. You have all that data, but they're not releasing it. That's not public information. And I feel like there's a fear of having that, because either the numbers are a lot higher than they want people to know, or they're a lot lower. And that's going to scare shareholders. That's going to scare investors. And it's going to look at like, oh, we're not a profitable platform.
Like, right? I feel like it's.
I don't think any streaming service right now is profitable without advertisements.
I can't tell how. How are they profitable?
Like, the only thing, like, and I keep thinking, like, how did HBO since the 70s sustain itself without commercials?
Yeah.
Like, during their shows,
because it was an expensive channel, right?
So this whole streaming service, with paying $20, $5, $10, Apple's out of the equation because they have another revenue source as well as Amazon. But like Disney and HBO, Paramount, Max, not HBO, Max, Paramount. How do they sustain with just a simple ad platform? Because now they've been adding it, but I feel like you still need it, even with their higher
placements, right? Like, their product placements in their episodes that will probably help alleviate some.
Well, I mean,
costs.
but I mean, like, these. You think about the big streamers now, with the exception of Netflix, they're all part of a bigger parent company, right?
Right.
So, like, Max is part of Warner Brothers, who's owned by Discovery, and has a million other channels and things under their umbrella, right? So now that's.
But it's just crazy that it's also another media entertainment company. Like, you look at back in the day, like when they were owned by Time, like AT&T, Time Warner. It's like, okay, you're coming from a technology company. Now it's like you're just another media company owning another media company.
Yeah, and that's what's scary about, like, when you have these conglomerates and, like, starting to come together and form, because then you start to get those things where, like, oh, we're cutting this, we're cutting this, we're cutting this, we're cutting this. But yeah, it's so weird where we are right now with these, and, like, all these other studios have all these other revenues coming through, but you wonder, it's like, like, how are you making enough money to justify spending $200-300 million on a show? And we just learned that, like, the Secret Invasion budget was like $200 and something million for 6 episodes, which is wild to me because like again there's some good effects in that show, but I look at like, man, Oppenheimer is $100 million. And you know what I mean, and like they shot that on IMAX,
and that's 3 hours, which is what, 3 episodes.
It's like that looks like one of the most beautiful looking movies I've ever seen. You know what I mean? And it's like, and that's also going to the theaters and it's performing well, and it's like, so you just start to wonder like, okay, like more subscribers on a platform, does that equal more money really? Or just because there's something coming on the platform doesn't mean people are actually going to subscribe? Because we saw that with HBO Max when it was called that with the Snyder Cut. Like it didn't really juice their subs like they wanted it to, right?
I think they really need like a third party observer to monitor,
like a moderator.
To say, okay, well, we know Stranger Things has 100 million views. And they guarantee that money to them. Well, for instance, some other show that's on Netflix that is just made in a way that's just like, I need content, doesn't make that much. Of course, that show won't make as much money for those actors. But at least if you have that transparency to make sure that, okay, this is what your show's making, that's why we're giving you this money, and this is what that show's making, that's why they get more. It makes more sense in that capacity.
And that kind of feels like the traditional studio system, where we're like back when movies are just at the studio level, and it's like, you're getting paid more money because you just came off a huge blockbuster and you're deserving of the 10, 15, 20 million, because we're going to make $300, $400, $500 million. Right. But streaming isn't guaranteed that. And now we're in an era, especially where you look at streaming and all the big stars are coming to streaming services. And it's like, they're expecting those big paychecks. I mean, like you look at Scorsese with The Irishman, or Scorsese with Apple TV Plus right now. We know Killers of the Flower Moon, or Gal Gadot with Red Notice. It's like, or Dwayne Johnson, Prime Video and Netflix. Like these people
just keep going.
They're just getting these huge paydays. And it's like, but your movies doesn't even make money in the traditional sense.
It just feels like blank checks, right? Like these companies are writing, in the sense that like it there's a wildness to not understanding how the budget works. Like I look at someone like Denis Villeneuve, who whenever he has a movie that he's directing, he is able to pump out such amazing effects, everything with a small budget. You look back to Dune, I think it was only like a $150 million movie, right?
Yeah.
Looks phenomenal. It looks like a $300 million movie.
Yeah.
And then you look at all the $300 movie. Then you look at all these shows that like will be like, oh, for 6 episodes, it cost us $300 million to make this. And you're like, how? How did you not know how to spend your money? I think we were all like, or I think I was guilty. We just didn't know what was happening behind the scenes, especially for those actors who, they would make 30 million, but then their co-stars making 20,000 or less or something like that, and it's just, that doesn't make sense. That price, that
there's such a disparity.
I get like you are a name, but why should Will Smith make 20 million if he's not bringing in 20 million or 120 million or 200 million? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the discrepancy now with actors getting paid a certain amount, like those A-list actors, and what their actual bring in for the budget of a film, it's not the same like it was in maybe the 2000s and the 90s. It's a different world.
It's a different world. And I think that's the thing we're seeing right now too, because we're seeing a lot of the people who are striking aren't the ones making 20, 30, 40 million dollars a movie. Right. We're seeing some people show up that are big, like someone that I keep seeing for the writer side and for the actors, like Bob Odenkirk, who that guy is made a lot of money off of Breaking Bad and off of,
he's living comfortably.
He's living very comfortably, but it's like he shows up because he knows that's important. And that's why you kind of wish that you would see, bigger people show up to do that. And, there was a big thing this week, like, oh, Tom Cruise, is he going to pick it or not? And I'm like, if he's not going to pick it, that's fine. I know he's going to, like, he's saying they're supporting in other ways, but also it goes to show, like, you have your biggest star picketing on the streets, like that also shows like
shine a light on this situation.
Like, oh my god, like our biggest star, like Tom Cruise is the biggest star in Hollywood. Yeah, he's outside with a sign. Like, we're doing something wrong. Yeah, you
got to look at. I mean, man, all these studios and all the CEOs. You look at Bob Iger, who was someone we really used to admire here, and then like the fall from grace that guy had.
One of the biggest fall from graces for a studio, like David Zaslav was the biggest villain in Hollywood.
He came in like I'm a villain.
He came in, but it's wild that Bob Iger, someone who was so beloved, just came in and was just like, no, I'm going to make some really bad decisions, and put my company in a very bad position.
And just really bad things.
And it's as easy as, you know what? and he does, like, okay, we all know when you work a job, you get paid. But when you're an executive for a studio and your name is Bob Iger or David Zaslav or whoever,
Mr.
Tim Cook,
yeah,
Yeah.
Tim Cook, like you make $1. You know, Steve Jobs you make $1 for that's your salary, because you know that you probably have shares that are connected to the company, and
You're not
you know
paying for
that
anything.
people are working for you for so much less.
Yeah.
And you're not getting it. Just, I can't sit here and say, well, you're making $30 million this year. 30 million that could be given to, you know, the people who actually work on the movie, who actually build everything. And we're not even talking about, this is probably another strike that will probably come down eventually, all the people behind the scenes, CG artists, this and that.
That's in due time.
As soon as
cameramen, the
as soon as visual effects houses start unionizing,
I was gonna say,
they bullshit's over.
Yeah.
You know,
once they unionize, it's game over.
Yeah.
So what's the work? Like, I cannot imagine being in charge of a studio and trying to figure out this. Like, I can cut my pay 100%. I can say, yeah, I got enough money. I'm doing this for the love of making this something of my legacy. Because that's why I look at it a lot. When you're an executive, at that point, when you're the head executive, it's more of a legacy thing.
100%.
What's my stamp on this company?
Yeah. Iger left with the best legacy ever.
Yeah.
He left like, I'm the one who repaired our relationship and brought Pixar to Disney. I'm the one who bought Marvel. I'm the one who brought Star Wars, and I'm the one who made the empire of Disney
The parks
with
were
Disney Plus,
back to life,
everything. And he left on the high, and we're like, okay, we're getting Chapek. How's this guy going to be? It was very rocky, and then Iger comes back in, and it's just like,
shits the bed.
you know, how do you do that? You were literally coming to save the company.
So how do you fix this? As if you were running a studio right now, you can, Daniel, you running Disney, Shay, you're running I want to give
me a shitty one, aren't you? You're running Peacock.
I'll give you Warner Brothers.
I'm running Zaslav.
Two of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't hear much about Paramount or Universal, but like, you guys are the biggest name. How do you fix this? Go.
Okay, writers, what are you asking for? Okay, no problem.
That's okay.
Son,
Actors, what are you asking
what
for?
are you asking for? Okay, sounds good.
Oh,
here we go.
Are you saying that without you guys, we can't do anything? Oh, we're losing money every day? Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay,
sounds good.
how much is it going to cost? It's going to cost us $60 million. Yeah, don't worry. We just lost $200+ million on The Flash.
Yeah.
We're going to know not to make these mistakes again.
You know what, man?
That's
it's
so
crazy.
easy. Like, man,
Like the money that The Flash lost.
that is so
the money
easy.
The Flash lost was enough
could have paid, man.
That would have paid, like, the money they spent on making The Flash would have
The marketing.
would have fucking paid everything and ended these strikes.
Oh, you upped her one F-bomb.
I did, because it's just frustrating. Because
No,
now,
I
because
agree,
we're
I
going
agree.
into a time now where it's like, okay, and I'm thinking of our show, obviously, and I'm thinking of all the shows out there where it's like, in the movies, it's like we're approaching back to where we were when COVID started, where it's like, oh god, here's this first wave. I've never forget.
Delays.
Oh, James Bond is moving. This is moving. All these movies are starting to get pushed and pushed and pushed. And as we get closer now to TIFF, it's like, what's going to happen with TIFF? We know that, you know, there's different unions. Obviously, there's going to be a lot, maybe just different films. But studios may also decide, hey, you know what? We're going to pull our movie from here, because if we can't market it with the stars, why would we?
Only the director can go.
Only the director could go. And then it's going to turn into something, okay, the director could go, but then it's going to look weird on us because we're now promoting a movie that we don't have the stars for, and then it's not going to get the award attention it deserves, and it's just going to snowball from there.
TIFF doesn't want. I'm guaranteeing you, TIFF does not want movies without the stars, because that's where it generates the money.
That's
Right,
tourism.
That's exactly it.
They are, what is it? A
Not for profit.
not-for-profit organization.
Yeah.
So their money comes from that week.
Yeah.
And all the advertisers and everyone who comes over,
The
and
world's
the connections
eye
and
is
all
looking
that.
at TIFF, right?
And Venice.
and
And
Venice.
Venice is the other one.
And that's
When
the
is
thing.
it? It's August?
It's before TIFF.
Yeah, it's in August, and it's like, here we are now, and it's like, this is the planning stages for TIFF, and I feel like so many people and friends that we know that work at TIFF are just like, we don't know what we could really do.
And we've been accredited for TIFF. I don't know if you've mentioned
we
that.
have been accredited for TIFF, and we're going to be there, whatever it looks like or not. As long as the movies are there, we're there. But it's just like, we don't, like, planning it is so hard, and I can only imagine what it's like on the studio side and on the TIFF side, because it's like we can't really talk with actors or teams about this because everything's on hold.
Everything's on hold.
And
Right?
I remember when TIFF did it, like during COVID, TIFF was like such a smaller venue than what it was, and I don't know.
2021 was virtual.
It was virtual, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how much that hurt them. Like how much did that weekend hurt TIFF? And they had an amazing year last year, but was it enough to sustain them for another year?
Yeah, because you look at that 2019 TIFF. You look at the films we're at TIFF that year.
Oh,
we're
what a
looking at
year.
Parasite. We're looking at Joker. We're looking at Ford vs Ferrari. We're looking at Jojo Rabbit.
Honey Boy.
Like those are just the ones that we saw.
Yeah.
Knives Out. Like there was so many movies, big movies that were there. And then 2020, and that's the thing. We're starting to feel the rippling now of obviously COVID, and this writer strike is only going to ripple further. So we have movies right now that are coming out. Like guarantee you look at Avatar that was just pushed for 2031. That's probably going to get pushed.
Oh,
because it's such a far away date. It doesn't matter.
We're taking our grandkids to see that one.
It's
And
like
Cameron wants the time. I like that guy loves.
yeah. And did you see what he said? He's like, yeah, I warned you guys in 1984 about AI, and like now it's here. And AI, I think, is a big deal for it, right? Because when you look
It's
at
a huge deal for
when you're
this.
looking with a lot of writers, especially, and then like owning actors' license for the rest of their lives, background actors.
Yeah,
So like
I don't know how that's legal. I remember there was people talking about it, like they were being scanned. I'm like, this is like your DNA, like your persona, your face, your body.
like 30
That
years from
is
now, they
you.
could show up in a movie and be like, oh, that was me when I was 17 or 18, and I'm
Like
now
you look back to the whole James Dean stuff,
yeah.
right? Like that's obviously not happening, like, clearly, because I don't think that's happening now.
I don't know. We haven't heard so
Yeah.
long about it, right?
So, but like you just start seeing stuff like that happen, and it's like, oh my god, I don't want Tupac's hologram in the movie.
yeah, but that's the thing, right? And like we're guilty of it too, because like look how excited everyone was, like, oh my god, Luke Skywalker is back. Prime Luke Skywalker is back in Mando, and then he shows up again in Book of Boba Fett, and it's like, look how far it's progressed in Indiana Jones, and it's like, cool, but like once that technology's out of the box, it's like you're only going to see the bad cases of it, right? It was such a technical achievement to have Luke and everything back, but opening up that box also opens
Pandora's
up
box.
all of the other bad stuff that comes with it,
Yeah.
right?
So it's the Oppenheimer, like Chris Nolan was saying, this is the Oppenheimer moment for a lot of people in studios, and yes, it's an amazing thing that we can do these things, but in the long run,
Should we
do
do
they
these
actually
things?
hurt us?
Yeah.
Right.
And essentially, unless you as an actor and you're like, yeah, man, I want to sell my likeness and my face and to a studio, and for sure you could do it, but like to just get this permission without permission and without
And this like back alley like deals the way they're
it
doing
just
it.
seems so fucked up.
It is. It's really scary. And I think of Robin Williams, who he had in his contract, especially when he died, he's like that his likeness can't be used in any film to promote it or be in any movie for 30 years after he passes away. And that's why when you look at like Jumanji, what's the second one called? Welcome to the Jungle?
No, is that the first one?
Was that the first one that's called that? The Next Level?
The Next Level.
Is it called The Next Level?
I think so. I'll double check for you.
Jumanji Next Level.
Jumanji the Next Level. Like they're like, yeah, this is Alan Partridge's house, and it's like it's just mentioned. You don't actually see a picture of him or anything like
Yes,
that.
The Next Level.
Because like you can't use his likeness, and like that's smart. And those are things that are going to be now that need to be made clear in contracts when you sign them. And I'm especially thinking of the people that can't, are the up and comers who are just trying to break into the industry,
And they'll do anything.
and they'll do anything. Yeah, I'll sign right here.
Because
Okay, I'm a background actor. I get to
they're-
be on set.
yeah.
Oh, I get to have health insurance? Yeah, I'll do
You know
it.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I get to be on set. I get to make money. I get to eat this month and
Yeah.
live somewhere that's safe.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I'll sign whatever. And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, wait, I just signed away my likeness. Now I just took a job away from myself because they're going to more rather use a scan of me than they actually have to use the real me.
And it's like the AI is getting good every year.
Yeah.
In terms of like recreating someone, it's crazy. And it's now we're going down this path of like real fake news and real fake things happening.
Like this
just
is going to
don't
start
know-
wars,
We don't know what to trust with our eyes anymore. And yeah, it's a scary process. And this is not just a strike. This is a lot of things that are happening within the strike too. So
Yeah.
it's wild to see.
It is, and it's interesting too because there was also like these beliefs coming out before the week of the strike was going to happen that we got so many leaks for Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
Which is strange to see because we're so usually so like Marvel films are so secretive, and like when leaks happen, like
and they were big,
like full on like characters showing up and the fight, like
hype leaks, hype leaks,
and it's much. Like it's just like interesting that they're trying to really put the focus on like, oh, this movie has to shut down production now because
muffin.
Like, that's but like you create the narrative of
like, oh, like we want to make this movie, but look, we want to give you Wolverine in his yellow suit and Deadpool together.
I got Wolverine now in Deadpool. They're in a comic. I can read it.
You know what I mean? But it's like, but they put that pressure on. They put that public perception out there,
and I think public needs to also understand. It's like just understand where a lot of these actors and writers are coming from, because when you hear about it, when you think of Hollywood, you always think of money, and everyone's making money on Hollywood.
Well, don't they have enough money? Yeah, I get
Actually, Hollywood makes zero money. It's not in the long term, it's not very sustainable.
Nothing
I'm not investing in Hollywood.
No. Nothing is guaranteed anymore.
No,
there's movies that we absolutely loved. And, I look at Mission Impossible, where it's like Mission Impossible is doing okay at the box office. It's not a runaway success like we've seen in previous years. It also is releasing at a really bad time in between like just massive movies. But it's like there's no movie that is a guaranteed success now, no matter how good it is, no matter how bad it is, whatever. There's no successes.
Last Insidious movie that just came out, we were like, oh, no one's heard of this movie. It's not going to do well. And it did so well for a fifth Insidious film that did terrible in reviews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, and that's the thing, right? There's no guarantees either way now.
Yeah.
So it's like you need to really think about what you're doing. And I think you need to, and that starts from the conceptual level and making sure like, hey, you know what? The days of giving movies $300 million budgets, maybe that's not justifiable anymore.
No,
maybe that's not feasible anymore.
You don't need it, because they want to make everything on a green screen, and that costs them. Like, even I think of if you cut down the budget, these visual effects houses can actually create really great visual effects.
Yeah,
and actually have time to build these things, and Oppenheimer being a big one where it's no visual effects, all practical. And it was made with less money. And you're just like...
Look at Barbie as well, right? Like Barbie's another film that $100 million budget.
Yeah.
And it's like, the marketing budget was probably insane, but it's also paying off for them because it's doing really well. But that's also goes to show like, hey, we have two movies that we're very confident in, that are very well, that have great word of mouth, and became, obviously, it's hard to really put in perspective what this meme of Barbenheimer would have turned into.
And this is it. Sorry, really quickly.
Yeah.
This is it. Barbenheimer is the last meme. We're not doing Saw Patrol.
No.
Don't put that out there.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Well,
I mean, what the hell, Saw Patrol? And then
Saw and Paw Patrol coming on the same day, and it's like
it's like you try and make fetch happen. Like you can't try and make it.
Bring your 5-year-old to watch Paw Patrol, and then right after Saw.
Yeah, like you can't force it upon people. Barbenheimer
was natural.
Was birthed from the internet.
Yeah,
you can't try and make it cool now.
Let's talk about Barbenheimer, because that was our next news story. How big it became and like what it turned out to be, and for Oppenheimer and Barbie, it worked well. For Mission Impossible, that happened last week or the week after,
or a week and a half ago, because it came out on the Wednesday.
It didn't end well for them because of the amount of marketing and the amount of push for these two movies to sustain. I almost feel like Mission Impossible should have just came out the same day, and they would have had like this fucking massive, I feel like it would have made maybe more money or same amount of money, or like just be in the conversation.
I don't know. Like I know like Mission Impossible right now is hovering around 300 million worldwide, where it's like, okay, it's making its money, it made its budget back, but it's also like, okay, you have to split that with the studios and marketing and all that. But it's like you're also in an era now where it's like Warner Brothers put Barbie on opening weekend of Oppenheimer as a middle finger to Nolan for leaving the studio, and it ended up working for them because at the end of the day, people didn't see it as Barbie versus Oppenheimer, which is ridiculous because these movies have nothing in common.
But in a world where people always pit stuff against each other, iPhone versus Android, PlayStation versus
Exactly.
Xbox.
Barbie versus Oppenheimer is like, okay, but that's like the most ridiculous comparings
But even
ever.
to be in that conversation.
But instead, they said, no, this is a joint.
It's Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
And that
It's beautiful.
and that served both. And like seeing the theaters this weekend, it's all I've been seeing on the news.
Oh my God.
Seeing people going all in pink. Our screening was full of people all in pink. It's like, it's fun to see that.
Yeah.
And like that, I feel like the last time I saw people that excited going to the theater in droves was like what, Black Panther?
That
Where it
or
was
looking
just
back at
like-
like Harry Potter, like when the Harry Potter series was that
You know,
thing.
where it was like such an event to go to the
Cultural,
movie
yeah.
theater. And it's like, yeah, like, and obviously like the Avengers films, like those ones are different, but like it's a different vibe when it's like, oh my God, like people are like going out, the audiences who don't typically go
Yes.
to the theater are going.
and
to
they're two IPs that really don't have a huge fan. Like Harry Potter has a huge fan base.
Yeah.
I don't, like how many Barbie people, like girls and guys out there that
it's still
are
big, but
waiting
not-
for this.
not
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
it's,
yeah.
but it's like
Yeah.
in a different industry
Yeah,
big. It's
yeah.
like, oh yeah, Barbie's big in the toy world, but how is this going to translate to the movie
Yeah.
side, right? Because
Yeah.
we've seen it happen time and time again where it's like, oh, we're adapting this. It doesn't end well. But it's like Barbie did crazy, and then Oppenheimer to like Shay, I know you have the numbers there.
Yes, I did.
With
You want
them.
to
So-
get the numbers right now?
Yeah, I mean,
So let's start with Oppenheimer. So Oppenheimer, 80.5 million opening. It's the biggest non-Batman opening for Christopher Nolan. Third biggest opening ever for a biographical film domestically. Biggest R-rated opening since Joker. It topped John Wick 4. It grossed an estimated 165 million globally, which is Nolan's highest non-Batman global opening. But it also is the biggest ever global opening for a biographical film, topping Bohemian Rhapsody.
so that's what I was curious about. I'm like, okay, so it's the third biggest domestic opening for a biographical film.
Yeah.
What are the other two?
I can take a look.
Like,
I
but
feel
like,
like Jobs maybe, and
No, Steve Jobs didn't do well.
I don't think Steve
Oh, it
Jobs.
didn't? No?
But like, and instead it beat Bohemian Rhapsody.
It beat Bohemian. Yeah, Bohemian opened with 124, and this did.
Oh wait, so Bohemian's probably the number one opening.
No, Bohemian is it top, worldwide, global,
Yeah,
worldwide. But Oppenheimer
domestic?
did 165.
Okay, but what was the one that came in third place? Was it domestic opening for a biopic?
Yes, third biggest ever domestically.
So I'm thinking it's either Bohemian Rhapsody opened up bigger than it domestically, and what's the other one? Like Passion of the Christ? Is that considered
Lincoln?
a biopic? Like I'm trying to think of the other
because
biopic,
they would make that Passion made so much money.
but opening weekend domestic.
I
But that's what I'm feeling like. Is Passion of the Christ
Lincoln.
number one?
I'm gonna go with Lincoln.
You think Lincoln made more money domestically than Oppenheimer?
Damn.
Well,
Wow.
I don't know. This Lincoln's been around for so long, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'll take a look.
I'm curious what the other one. I was trying to.
Elvis.
What was the opening of Elvis? Yeah, the domestic opening of Elvis.
Shay, use your computer skills.
I am, but the problem is a lot of these episodes aren't up to date.
It's not Box Office Mojo should have it.
I know.
Have you hit more details?
Yeah, but I'm trying to find a list of. Like,
Oh,
the
yeah, I
highest-
know.
Okay,
Good,
so let's
high-
go to-
So while Shay's looking at the list, or figuring out the list, my question is, who has the legs in the long run? Is it Oppenheimer or is it Barbie?
I think Barbie's going to explode this weekend, and I think it's
Or
going to
are we talking about because we are in the new week?
the new week.
So you think that
I think Oppenheimer's going to have really great legs because I'm looking 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
It's impossible to get an IMAX ticket for this movie, and this is worldwide. It is like impossible to go see this movie.
and IMAX tickets are much more, right?
IMAX tickets are much more,
yeah.
and that's why Mission Impossible lost so much less money this weekend because it lost all of its premium format screens because they're not there anymore. They all belong to Oppenheimer. But it's wild to me that I think Oppenheimer's going to do really well because 4 a.m. screenings.
Sorry, really quickly.
Yeah.
Lincoln's domestic opening, by the way,
It was like $12 million.
it wishes it did $12 million. 900,000.
Wow.
It's less than $1 million.
I don't know. I thought of a biopic, Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get why, but it almost was like fuck you.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. We're
You thought I made a lot of money,
1,000
eh?
times less than
What was the other movie you mentioned? Biopic.
Passion of the Christ.
No. You mentioned another one.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Was it Bohemian? So Bohemian opened with.
But yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, there's 4 a.m. screenings of Oppenheimer that are sold out.
So
2 weeks from now.
Yeah, Bohemian opened with 51 million.
There are people
Domestic.
who don't
So
live
it's not the top three
No,
then.
because
I don't know which one.
Because Ontario, which is located in Canada,
Yeah.
has two 70 millimeter IMAX cinemas. People from the States are coming to Toronto to watch it.
Yeah.
And there's only 32 in the whole world.
Yeah.
There's not a lot. You know, like even if you're in the States and you live in Buffalo, New York, then you're Syracuse, or if you're in Cleveland, you're coming to Toronto to watch it.
It's probably the closest one, right? Yeah, and that's what's wild, right? And it's like they keep adding screenings. Even this week, we were like, oh, they're sold out. Oh shoot, guys, they added a 10 a.m. one. Let's go.
Yeah,
and they're adding earlier and earlier and later because there is such a demand. So I think Oppenheimer's going to have really good legs. I think Barbie. I'm curious to see what it's going to do. I'm sure it's going to do really well, but I feel like everyone went to go see it.
That's what I'm saying. Like everyone who wanted to watch it
went to go see it. So I'm curious how many repeat viewers are there going to be. I know there's a lot of people who want to see it again.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see what the legs of it look like. Do you think it's going to hit $1 billion? Do you think Barbie will hit $1 billion?
I don't know. I don't trust the box office, even though
you can't bet on it. There's no guarantee.
Barbie made a lot of money. I don't know if it's going to hit 1 billion, because there's also not everyone wants to watch it. There's a lot of conservative or woke fucking bullshit talk. So it's not Top Gun. Top Gun was made for everyone, and it was a great film. This one actually has a little bit of agenda that people might not like, and that's why they'll keep them out of the cinema.
I could see that for the toxic people out there that may not want that. But I'm also curious, I look at the Super Mario Brothers movie. That's the highest grossing movie this year so far, $1.4 billion. Is anything going to touch that? Mario is also an interesting audience because it's a kids movie, and it's it's an animated movie. It's like kids could, parents take their families to it, no problem. Just go have fun, blah blah blah. So I'm just wondering what to see what any legs look like this summer, because coming up we have the Meg, we have Ninja Turtles, we have Blue Beetle. There's a couple others in August that are coming as well too, but
yeah, it also depends on worldwide where these movies are being opened. If you take, for instance, China, Mission Impossible didn't do well in China. Is Barbie going to do well in China? I don't know if it opened in China. There's a lot of things that are part of it. It's not just domestic.
No,
because we're also in a bubble, right? We see what we see, but the rest of the world, are they in the mindset of Barbie, or are they more Oppenheimer, or are they more of something that's happening in their world that's bigger and they want to watch?
Right. So from what I'm seeing,
Shay's like a mad scientist right now, trying to find.
I've been trying to find
what domestic biopic opened higher. What are we missing? Was it Elvis?
It wasn't Elvis. Elvis didn't do that hot. But I am seeing Passion of the Christ is one of them.
Is one of them, right?
Is Passion of the Christ considered a biopic?
I'm assuming because it's about a person. That's the only reason why I'm it's R-rated. It's a biopic. It probably had a big opening.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find more, and if I find it, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, Passion of the Christ is, I think, one of them.
The Avengers aren't real people, so that wouldn't be one.
That wouldn't work. Yeah. No.
So we're safe to say that Oppenheimer and Barbie succeeded this week.
Barbenheimer was one of the, I think, just on a grand scale level, thinking about it driving people to movie theaters.
Yeah, and
it's amazing. This is fantastic, and also Nolan. Again, we've spoken so much about Oppenheimer in our review. Go listen to it. Go watch it. But Nolan was able to release a 3-hour movie, an original film based on a historical figure, 3 hours long, R-rated, and it's still opened up against the biggest film of the year, and it still made $80 million in its opening weekend. That is unbelievable.
Passion opened with 83.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find out what the other one
that's
is.
Probably more now because of inflation. So it's probably 100.
And it was in 3D, right? So that's why.
The thorns.
But it's also good that two movies. Usually with studios, they don't want to go head to head with other movies. But this was a great battle because this is like one of those knockouts where it's like Rocky versus Apollo Creed. Both of them are doing their best to be number one, and you knew Barbie was going to be number one.
Yeah. But Barbie just helped Oppenheimer.
Yeah. But Oppenheimer still had a great time in a great weekend. And it makes it kind of shows to you that sometimes that competition is needed to succeed.
Have we ever
have something like this happen?
Has this ever happened before? Have we ever had a weekend where the 1 and 2 are just record-shattering movies with this high?
It's not common for sure. I definitely think there are. From what I'm reading, it's like the 4th time it's ever happened. Passion but man, like
I feel like in the 90s it might have happened, because I feel like that's just it was more set to have huger, like those big blockbusters, or like those movies that just became blockbusters without actually being marketed as a blockbuster. But yeah, I can't remember something like this. Then again, it was a different time. Social media, like the way we consume media now is in your face all the time.
Yeah.
So it's hard to remember a time when it wasn't.
Yeah, but it's cool though. Like honestly, like it's so embedded in the culture now that people will always remember. Hey, do you remember the summer of Barbenheimer? Like, this is what people have been building towards for the last year and a half, and the fact that it came out and it was successful. There are no losers this weekend. You know what I mean? Like, there's no it's all like winners. It's like it's really amazing to see.
Yeah. But well, let's talk about Barbie a little bit, because I mean those are the stats I gave you for Oppenheimer. For Barbie, biggest opening of 2023.
Amazing.
With 155 million.
Yeah, beat Mario by like I think almost 10 million.
Yeah.
Or 5 million.
Something like that. Biggest opening ever for a female director. Biggest opening ever for a movie based on a toy. And biggest opening ever for stars Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. Barbie had the biggest opening weekend ever for a movie that isn't a superhero film, isn't a sequel, and also isn't a remake. Also, with over 300 million worldwide, this looks to be the fourth biggest weekend of all time and biggest box office weekend post-pandemic. Yeah, crazy.
That is a lot of firsts for a lot of things.
And you know what? Greta deserves it. The cast deserves it. Everybody that was involved with Barbie, they deserve it.
Mm-hmm. Greta's now, she's going to be directing Narnia for Netflix.
Yes.
That's her next.
I don't know if we need that, but
like she was saying that she's so scared to do it because it's such a bigger budget,
bigger
and
budget. It's all special effects, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a lion that talks.
Yes.
They don't talk nowadays.
They don't.
No, they're very quiet.
But definitely there's going to be a Barbie 2. We all know that.
We have to get a Barbie 2.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
I'm getting some more like insight because I wanted to talk to you guys about Mission Impossible and its placement this summer, where you guys think that you would have placed it instead of where it came out. Right now, it says that Tom Cruise hits 370.8 million global cum at box office, and it's going to be eyeing about 620 to 670 global run, which is good, which is very good. I mean, Fallout made 7 something, so this is.
Did it fall to 800?
I don't know if it may have. I think
848.
Was it that high? Was Fallout over?
Actually, 791.
Yeah,
so almost 800,
so it was in the 700 millions. So it's definitely less. It's going to net out still a positive for Paramount, but I feel like there was so much money left on the table if they just held themselves for 2 weeks after Barbenheimer, because I feel like Mission Impossible would have fared a lot better against the Meg.
Yep.
And Paramount could have pushed Ninja Turtles to later in September into October. And you would have had all of August to just clean up at the box office.
Mm-hmm. I would have even waited till October, November.
I think it does get dicey then, though, right? Like you look at October. And
I think they just want it's like a summer movie. They want that summer blockbuster because like the Top Gun.
But movies make money no matter if it comes out in January, February, March, April. Like it makes it if it's good and people talk about it. And I think they just couldn't get people to talk about it. Yeah, even we were happy with it, but it's just like I don't think the word of mouth was there for it.
Not as strong.
Yeah, I think it got an A cinema score still, but it wasn't like I think people leaving Fallout or Maverick were just like there is no other movie except for this movie. You need to go see it. And Mission, like I love that movie, or Dead Reckoning, I should say. But yeah, it doesn't have that lasting. I think not until part 2 because and I think. They're thinking now like, oh, should we have maybe made this part 1?
Yeah.
When you market something as part 1, people, I think, subconsciously already go, okay, I don't need to care about this until part 2 comes out.
That's also true.
You know what I mean? So people may not be doing that. And when you look at this whole summer season, March was a hellscape for movies in terms of like how many were releasing, right? We had Creed, we had John Wick, we had oh my god, I'm blanking on the movies that released in March, but we had a lot. And then we had April that came out, which was the Mario Brothers movie, Fast X, and then it was Guardians, it was Little Mermaid, it was Spider-Verse, it was Flash, it was Elemental, it was Indiana Jones. It was like nonstop. So no matter where Mission Impossible was trying to fit in, it's like all of these other movies had their flags planted, and Mission Impossible was like, oh, we're going to go here, or we're going to try and open up a few days earlier. And I feel like that almost hurt the movie when you trying to open up on a Wednesday instead of opening up on a Friday.
Scream 6.
You know, Scream 6. Yeah, that was another big one in March, right? So it's like there's so many spots where I feel like, oh, I wonder where Mission could have gone to, maybe made it easily past that $700 million.
Yeah,
because again, it's not a failure, but it's like
I rewatched it on Friday, and obviously I love Mission Impossible and I love Dead Reckoning, but there was a lot more that stood out to me this time where I was like, oh, okay, like I get why a lot of audiences didn't connect. Like there's some things that I can forgive in a movie because I understand what it's trying to go for, but for general audiences, I'm like, yeah, this might be a bit too long. Like, you're almost at 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of exposition in there that needs to be cut. It slows down a lot at certain points. And again, the stunts are fantastic, but they don't hit the highs of the franchise.
Or I will even say, like, I think there's incredible stunts in this one that match what we've seen before, but it's also like we've also seen them marketed so much that we've been seeing a lot. That, like, as amazing as it is to see Tom Cruise jump off the cliff on the motorcycle, like I didn't feel wowed by that until it cut to that new angle of him gliding down the hill.
Yeah,
right. Or because you've
in the plane, or
you've experienced it so many times.
Yeah, and it's like I'm hoping for part 2 they really hold back.
Don't show the stunt.
Like don't show the big one. Or right as he's about to jump off,
stunt.
Where he's driving on the hill. Cut before he goes, because like there's so much where it's just like that we saw in Dead Reckoning. It's like I saw it already, and I know that in the beginning of the movie, we see it in the whole montage at the beginning with the theme song, but like because you're watching it, you don't mind it as much.
Yeah.
Maybe they were worried that they needed to start that train to get people to go into the theater, but maybe it kind of backfired on them to the point where it's like, well, I wasn't excited as much as when I went to go watch Fallout and he was in the helicopter and that was all real and it was shot in IMAX, so it just made it even bigger.
Or the Halo jump and all that stuff.
And then the other thing that you also mentioned as well, naming it Part 1, I think hurt it as well.
Yeah, if you just call it Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning and then the next one you called it something else, we could
look at Spider-Verse. It did so well because people didn't really know that it was a Part 1.
Yeah. And like when you market it as Part 1, I just feel like, okay, Part 1, I really don't need to care.
I'll wait for the season to come out. Like some people say that all the time.
That's exactly it. Like people will be like, "Oh, do we need to go?"
Do you think the next Part 2 should have some competition with it, very similar to Barbie and Oppenheimer, to have like this get to the theater and we need to have like this competition, or do you think it just sticks on its own?
It has to happen naturally, though.
It needs to happen naturally, and also
again, it could, because we don't know when this movie's coming out.
But so much of what made Barbie and Oppenheimer, so much of what made those movies work
was just how natural it was.
But also how different the movies were, right? Yeah. You have a movie about the atomic bomb, and then you have a movie about Barbie. And it's like,
which one's about Barbie? Sorry,
just the one I said.
That's
Barbie.
what they call the bomb.
Okay.
Yeah, called the Barbie.
But it's like, but you know what I mean? It's like you had movies that were just so drastically different from one another that it became funny. Where Mission Impossible, I'm like, what's the opposite of Mission Impossible? Like, it doesn't matter. You could have a romantic comedy opening. It still doesn't have that pairing of. It's like, look how the stark contrast.
Even people were digging back to, you look back to
like Mamma Mia, Dark Knight.
and Dark Knight. Even I mentioned that. That wasn't a big deal back then.
No, it wasn't. I didn't even know Mamma Mia
people
came
just
out.
thought of that like, oh,
it's just Dark Knight.
It was the Dark Knight's out, and this movie's also there for the people who don't want to see the Dark Knight.
And that's kind of how it's always been, right? You always have, okay, this one's like this kind of movie, but then we also have this where it's like a little different.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't think there's a way to make, Mission Barbie or, Impossible Barbie.
It's because it's also how extremely polar opposite these films are.
They're just opposite ends of the spectrum.
They start their spectrums, really, right?
Like you can't do it.
And then you have also the other T where it's like, oh, Nolan and Warner Brothers, and now he's at Universal. Like the smaller stuff that's kind of in the background that you're like that people like us will think about.
Yeah.
But just the fact that they're so polar opposite that's it. That's why you can't have Saw Patrol. Like it doesn't work.
No, because one is a kid, like one is an animated child's movie and one is a horror.
Like also only kids watch.
Like you
adults aren't going to go watch.
No, the last Saw was an awful film.
It was an awful film.
I think Paw Patrol will probably beat it.
Paw Patrol will beat it because it's it's
socks.
Supposedly, from what I'm hearing, this new Saw movie is good because they pushed it up.
Here we go.
Yeah,
I'm not Mr. Saw. Don't worry. I'm just saying this is what I heard.
Mr. Saw over here, Mr. Socks. Like I don't think you could. There's no way to recreate Barbenheimer.
No, you can't.
You can't do it. There's no way that
was Chemical X right there, buddy.
You know, like it was like
Well,
it
if there's
happened.
a sequel to Oppenheimer, a sequel to Barbie, do they do it again?
What's the sequel to Oppenheimer?
They tell the others. They tell Benny Safdie's
Hydrogen
story.
bomb?
Hydrogen bomb.
Yeah,
I want to know more about that too.
And maybe we have Einstein come back.
Einstein comes back.
Dude,
Yeah.
every time he showed up on screen,
Our theater
the
was like,
crowd
"Woo!"
lost it. They're like, yeah, buddy.
The hat, that hot flying off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like you can't. I think it's gonna be a really long time before we have another Barbenheimer on our hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll
Or
be
like- 'cause again,
100 years
Studios
from
will
now.
try.
Because we've waited our whole lives to see it happen once.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Studios will try, though. Mark my words. They will force it to happen again.
yeah, they're gonna.
They got to get actors and writers.
They,
Or-
They do.
We will get movies for
Yeah.
the next 10 years.
Yeah,
guys.
get that sorted first, and
Yeah.
then deal with making marketing plans.
That this is all kind of like overshadowing what's actually happening,
Yeah.
and I don't think people understand. By next year, we won't have anything to watch.
Yeah.
And we won't have anything to watch in 2025 and 2026 and TV and all that, unless you live in England. We're going to be watching a
Yeah.
bunch of English shows.
Or in Canada, we're watching
Or
a bunch of CBC shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but like
Maybe we'll get a show, the movie podcast show.
the movie podcast, the show,
Movie podcast, the show,
the movie
musical.
podcast, the show, the musical, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie podcast, the show. No, yeah, you can't recreate it. I'm just so happy that both are doing well, and I
Yeah.
cannot wait to see what happens next week with their box offices, because I think it's just only gonna. They're gonna be. That's gonna be the success story of the summer. Is
Absolutely.
Barbenheimer.
What are we going to talk about next? I'm sorry, I'm going to my agenda here.
Yeah. Oh, you have an agenda too, eh?
What agenda is he pushing?
We did the box office. Let's get into some trailers. We got a ton of trailers, not
Yeah.
from this week, but just from the weeks that we haven't been on doing this our main episode. So we got Dune 2 or Dune Part 2, Wonka, Napoleon, Gran Turismo, Invincible Season 2, Haunting in Venice, The Creator, and The Marvels. Let's talk about... Well, why don't we talk about our favorite trailers? I'm going to kick it to Shay. What would you consider your favorite trailers for the past 2-3 weeks?
Napoleon, man.
Napoleon,
That trailer
yeah.
just was fire.
Yeah. It had like an energy that you just like put me in this time period.
I
and-
felt like, yeah, exactly that. It was like an art piece where I was like, I need, like, and also just seeing Vanessa Kirby on there where I'm just so in love with her after everything she does, but also just watching Mission Impossible. And of course, you know, Joaquin just kills it. So I think someone once called me out for how I pronounced Joaquin. Is it not Joaquin?
There was
Phoenix?
somebody who was saying that in one of our negative reviews that we kept mispronouncing Joaquin.
Yeah. Well,
Joaquin Phoenix? Joaquin Phoenix?
It's Joaquin. Yeah.
it's Joaquin, right?
Yeah, Joaquin.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Not,
I guess
Joaquin,
you could
though.
like pronounce it with the J.
Yeah,
like
that dude probably was like, oh yeah, Jalapenos.
Joaquin.
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 Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin.
I don't know why he sounds like that. Anyways, that trailer, yeah, it just hit, man. It was just so good.
Yeah.
It reminded me of some good Ridley Scott.
Yes, it reminded me of Gladiator. That's what it reminded me of.
And
Yeah.
even a little bit of The Last Duel. Like,
Yes,
like the
yeah.
really action-driven parts, right?
Man, like you know what? Like that movie's probably gonna be long as hell too. Because
Napoleon?
it's probably gonna be like a Ridley
Yeah,
Scott
it's like
movie.
I don't think they've ever done a Napoleon movie before.
What was the one Danny
It's just
DeVito?
kind of ironic, right? The shortest guy with the longest movie.
Yeah. Didn't Danny DeVito do a Napoleon movie, or was
Danny
it a miniseries?
DeVito?
Yeah. Or was it a miniseries?
I can't. Are you joking? Are you serious?
I'm being dead serious right
I thought you guys were going to talk about some sunny
no.
skit that they did.
This was like, didn't Danny DeVito play Napoleon? And
This-
Shay's looking
Napoleon's
it up
a very long
I-
story, so I hope it's like 3 hours long.
It's interesting. Like it's. I don't know. Is it real?
right now.
It's
Or
like-
is it just like a fan art?
the 4'10" actor played the 5'10" figure in 1995's Napoleon. But if you don't remember DeVito donning the iconic bighorn hat, don't worry. 1995, it was a movie within a movie. Oh, and Get Shorty.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking
my
of.
God,
That's what
yes.
I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Get Shorty.
Yeah,
Shorty.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like we're in a year where I feel like we're just getting really long ass movies.
Yeah,
You know, and
it's
like,
good.
It's good, but it's also not good for some movies where it doesn't work out. Where I feel like you look at Indiana Jones, it's like that movie was too long.
Hey, it could have been good if they fucking ended it properly.
You know what I mean? Or if they
made it
if they
good.
went back to fucking Nazi Germany and he fought,
or if
like you
we're
said,
just
Dan.
shorter, right? Like there's like we're in a time where we're getting a really long movie. Killers of the Flower Moon's gonna be another really long movie.
Yeah.
And I'm all here for it if you could sustain my attention.
Killers of the Flower
Oppenheimer.
Moon is, I'm reading the book right now, very good book, but it's like a very interesting story because it's not just a story about murders that are happening, it's also the story of how the FBI became the FBI.
Interesting.
So it's
J.
like
Edgar
Hoover?
Is J. Edgar Hoover in it?
J. Edgar Hoover is he's at that point he's just starting the FBI. So he's not a main character. Jesse Plemons' character, who is part of the bureau, comes to the Osage county, and that's why it's such a big story, because it's such a long movie, because there's a lot of wildness that's happening.
Did we get it? We should have a runtime because it premiered already at Cannes, right?
I think 3 hours.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
double
good.
check.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3 hours and 30 minutes.
God.
But it's a very good story. It's just very deep.
But also,
3 hours 26.
Oh, very close.
question for you guys: is it going to come out this year?
Yeah,
Is it still coming out in September?
it's October 6th actually.
Is it still coming out in October?
My birthday. Well, yeah, because I wished for it.
But like, how can they release that movie without its
How can
biggest
she
stars?
slap? I don't know, man. I'm trying to think right now. Like what? Like
What did you say?
How can she slap?
Oh,
I don't know, man. It's a weird time. I want to say yes.
Like, I feel like
'Cause TIFF has to
if
go
you
on.
keep waiting and
you think
waiting,
it's gonna be a TIFF?
Maybe.
I just can't be. It can't be a COVID year again. Like to postpone films till next year. You have 5 months left. Like, you're gonna make something, but I feel like you're gonna lose more than you're. This is not Top Gun. This is not. Like Top Gun was special.
Yeah.
And Paramount, whoever was the Notre Dame of that studio, made the best choice for Top Gun. But I don't know. I feel like people want to watch something in the next 4 or 5 months.
Well, we know just from interviews that we've done and things like that August is pretty much covered in terms of interviews being in the bank for a lot of these studios. But you come into September now, what's going to happen? Like September, October, November, December, there's big movies planned, and if Wonka with Timothée Chalamet, if Aquaman,
That's December, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
both December movies.
Well,
the Marvels.
Aquaman's not happening. I'm sorry.
I don't think I've been saying it for months that Aquaman's not coming out
not
in December.
happening,
There's
buddy.
no way that they're going to release Aquaman and
That
Wonka.
movie, third set of reshoots,
Yeah.
not doing hot. James Wan.
You think they're
hates
just going
his
to
life.
scrap it?
Ooh, scrap? I don't know.
Yeah.
I would love for them to scrap it.
You really, eh?
And that's absolutely no shade and no offense to anyone that's
They're gonna get
working
their
on the
money
film.
back.
But it's
That's how
because
the government works
It's not like no one wants to watch a DC movie. Look, Blue Beetle. I'm sorry, it's not going to do well.
I was gonna say it's a month-
estimating for 15 million right now opening.
It's opening weekend, and I don't
No.
know what the budget of it was. But
It's not gonna do
I'll
well.
take a look at
Nobody
that.
wants a DC film right now.
So like you wonder if, okay, let's say they delay those movies. What else is there? Like there's so many other movies coming out this fall still.
Push them to max, man.
You know, what'd you say?
Push them to max.
Push them? No. But I mean, like,
Yeah,
but even that push them to max, they still need to market them.
Then you got Craven coming out also in October. Does
Yeah.
Sony release that? You have all these movies that
'Cause
you're
if-
just thinking about.
And then you have to think about, well, the theaters that are playing these movies, how are they going to sustain if they have nothing to play?
They're literally
So
like,
you're
we just
actually
got out of
hurting
this.
them.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to keep something going. You got to keep the train going, even though you have no stars to promote it. It's
Yeah,
you,
but they
if you
see
come
that-
back from that and by January there's no theaters to play it, then you're even fucked. You're more fucked.
But here's the thing: it's like we started getting these deals that these were making. By the way, Blue Beetle, $120 million.
No,
$120
million movie.
Yeah, more than Oppie. Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll see what happens with that.
and it's not an A-list cast.
No, I mean I think the biggest name is George Lopez.
Yeah.
100 million right there.
120 million. 119 million right there.
Why do you think
George
so much?
Jorge Lopez.
My God. But yeah, like you can't, like you're not going to be able to release movies without like your cast promoting them, because then studios will be like, oh, it didn't make money because it's not being promoted. Tom Cruise would have 100% been promoting the shit out of Mission Impossible right
Hey,
now if he was allowed
Pay
to.
the movie podcast. We'll promote every fucking movie.
We'll
on
scab
that
it.
list.
We'll
Eh?
scab it, yeah.
We'll be the scabs. No,
Yeah.
but it's like, how do you justify? You're like, oh yeah, we're going to release this. We're going to release Dune, which has like the biggest cast ever.
Yeah.
But none of them are going to market it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't do it, and then they're going to delay it, until this is done.
I love Sounds of Echoes, or what's it called? The
Sounds of Freedom.
Sounds of Freedom. Sounds of Freedom. Such a good movie, right?
No, but like you, and then you look at all the deals that were made during COVID. It's like, oh, we're going to guarantee 45-day windows, and then Mission has 100 days. Oppenheimer has 100-day theatrical windows. But like, does that continue now? Where theaters are like, no, we can't. We have to keep playing these movies because we don't have any other movies to play.
Well, we're gonna watch Oppenheimer like 3 times. I don't think I can watch it anymore after that. Like at that point,
dude,
like
the 6th time really changes the
that's
palette.
where you go crazy.
Yeah.
I hope maybe they go back in the vault and get movies that came out during.
But we did that, right? Like we did that during COVID too, where it's like, oh, like go watch this movie again.
Yeah.
Go watch.
I would love to, because I never got to see it. Was Akira in IMAX, which would like. I didn't watch it because it was during COVID, and the time didn't work out for me. But I would love to rewatch that if they're going to replay any.
I'm sure they will as soon as Cinesphere opens up too. But like, we're in a time we're going to an uncertain future again, where it's like, how many of these events do we need to go through? And I'm just talking about not us.
I know
the podcast, the like general audiences, where
it's also TV too.
TV as well. When you see studios like, oh, we're airing Miss Marvel this fall on ABC, it's like, yeah, because you don't have shows being made because actors aren't working.
Yeah.
You know, you're putting it there because you don't have a choice. You're doing it because you want people to see it more, and also because you don't have any other shows to fill that void.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. It's really wild.
You should put Willow on TV. No, they can't because they
scratched it. Like, you can't watch that unless it's illegal means. Like, my God.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling decisions.
But yeah, Dune Part 2, that trailer, buddy. Oh,
amazing. Does it come out this year? Yes or no? I just want a yes or no.
Oh, I thought you were saying it's not coming out.
Does Dune Part 2 release this year?
Yes.
Yes from Shahbaz?
Yes from Anthony, because I want to watch it.
I'm going to say no.
No.
I honestly don't think. I think Warner Brothers is going to come out with a big announcement this week saying everything's shifting, and then that's it.
So that means, what about the Marvels?
Marvels isn't going to move yet because it's in November. But this is my prediction of what's going to happen. I feel like Warner Brothers is going to move Dune Part 2 to December because it gives them time for the strike. That'll be December. Wonka is going to move to like March, and then Aquaman will move to June.
If there's no settlement by September, that's the movies. It's done for the year.
Yeah,
like they'll just stay until they'll be on strike till January, February. See what because at this point there's nothing.
Yeah,
they don't need it. They'll just wait and see what more they can get.
But that's my prediction right now. I feel like Dune is going to move to either December.
Yeah.
And then Wonka is going to move to March, and then Aquaman is going to move.
Wonka might even move to May.
The Marvels?
May even
for Aquaman.
No,
Wonka. Yeah,
Disney Plus Marvels. Watch.
Like premium access.
They won't do that.
No, I don't think they will either.
I know what you're saying, but I can't see them do that.
I didn't like the Marvels trailer.
I didn't like the Marvels trailer.
It's funny because like I like the first trailer that released for it, but this one just felt like it was too similar to that one. Or it didn't make me any more excited for the movie. I'm just like, okay, I'll watch it when it comes out.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But I'm not like the days of like a trailer dropping and us being like, oh my God. Like it's very rare for it to happen because I feel like, especially with the Marvel ones, and love the Marvel movies, but they just feel very just like,
I just feel the same
template
thing
ones.
over and over again now.
So when we watched Miss Marvel and that whole sequence with Captain Marvel and how they Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel transition at the end.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
But then when you watch the trailer and you see the story, I'm like, I've seen this story before.
Yeah.
I've seen this. This is not.
I just hope it's a great movie. It's just like, it's one of those,
to be a good movie.
You know, it's just one of those things. I'm like, this new trailer, I'm think didn't really do anything. And also just released at a random time. Where it's just like, oh, it literally dropped at midnight.
Right?
Yeah, but they didn't have a panel or anything. It was like midnight. It's like, oh.
Well, it would have been 9
midnight, 9 p.m.
9 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was like no build up to it.
No.
It was just like people, I saw like scoopers like, oh, there's supposedly something's coming.
Yeah.
But it's just like, what a weird thing not to build up to. Where in the past, it's like, oh, watch this game, watch this event, watch this thing. We're going to do it. But I feel like they just can't do it because the actors aren't involved.
That, and there's also nothing happening now to even play it in front of other than San Diego
you were at Comic-Con. You could have played it in Hall H. You know, like.
Yeah, I get people hyped about it.
You know, it's just a weird way. Just be like, it's out.
It's because they decided not to, right? Disney said,
yeah, they're not at Hall H. But like, even if they were just started showing that trailer in front of like Barbie or something, it just
would have made sense.
I'm assuming it will show in front of Barbie, but it's just weird choices.
San Diego, yeah, another weird choice, and we didn't get to San Diego Comic-Con coming out, happening this week.
Yeah.
I feel like, for what it is and what they have, they're doing an okay job.
It's actually about comics this year.
Yeah, it's about comics.
And about like Invincible dropped that episode like as like a prequel towards the season, which we're gonna get later this fall, which we're really excited about. But yeah, it's just like, it's crazy that this is Comic-Con week, and in years previous when we've had Comic-Con episodes, they were like some of our biggest episodes of the year, and we're an hour plus into this episode and we've said nothing of substance about it.
Yeah, I would tell you
that was a callback to earlier in the episode that we say nothing of substance.
Squawk Hawk.
Yeah, Squawk Hawk.
There is a really cool thing that's happening at Comic-Con, which is the Kith Marvel streetwear collaboration that they're doing with
You
their
ordered
sneakers.
some.
I hope the order doesn't get canceled, but yeah,
I'll cancel it.
Ronnie Feig is doing a shoe where you don't know, like you know what the type of shoes that are in this box, but you don't know what you get.
Oh,
and it's
life's like a box of chocolates,
Yeah, it's to mimic like what you would, just like the Marvel
X-Gene?
cards.
Oh.
From the 90s, when you would open them, you don't know what you get inside the pack.
Oh,
right?
I was going deeper. I was like, it's like
really
when you're a mutant,
Yeah.
you don't know what mutant powers you're going to get.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool because you don't know. You will get like a PSA graded Marvel card.
Mm-hmm.
But you
which
pick
is
your
really
size
dope.
of your foot.
You
right?
just pick your size. You can pick your size. You just don't know what shoe. And they're all great shoes.
They're
I
all
think the
great
one
shoes.
I'm not like really connecting with is the Beast and the Brown Wolverine, but everything else,
what's wrong with Brown Wolverine?
I was like, hold on.
The Brown Wolverine. Let me tell you.
The Brown
Deep?
Wolverine, it was a choice.
Yeah.
Question: so when I went on the website to look at the shoes, they only had up to size 10. Was that just because the other ones are sold?
Yeah, that was because they were sold.
Okay, 'cause I was just like, oh,
those
no.
shoes. They did a release on Friday because that's when they did the panel. That was a Kith strike. So whatever you saw come out there is not going to be the official
Wait,
release.
is Kith on strike?
No, they call it a Kith strike when it's like a hyper strike is when a shoe releases without notice, without any type of alert, and it's just like, hey guys, the shoes are out now, go get it. And it's a strike. That's what they call it. It's a strike. It was just instantaneous. But the shoes will come out again. I don't know in what number. I think each shoe has 2,500 pairs of each color. And within the 2,500, there's cards. Yeah. And inside each card,
so do you get the card that corresponds with the character?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's one way of knowing what shoe you have.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping not to get Beast or the Brown Wolverine.
Why do you keep looking at me though? I don't get it.
He looked at me when he said Beast, and he looked at me when he said Brown Wolverine. I was like, hold on.
Portuguese Beast?
I don't want any of these guys.
But yeah, we'll do an unboxing.
Yeah, please do an unboxing.
We'll do an unboxing.
That'll be really fun.
We'll record it. We'll do a whole thing because it's really cool. Just like the idea of like not knowing what shoe, and you're getting a graded card, and there's like one of 10, of.
It's also a good way to like sell shoes that people may not love certain colors of, right?
Yeah,
like it's all a mystery.
Yeah, like you don't have any overstock.
But it's like 60 years of X-Men. I think just the whole, like if you watch the whole video of how he did it, because the shoe is an ASIC shoe, but the box is not from ASIC because they couldn't make the box, so he had to make his own box. And he had to work with PSA to grade the card. It's a whole
that's a whole thing to it. That's a cool keepsake
which
too,
is
right?
Really, I think one of the best like unboxings that you can get that you could pay for.
And I think where I'm at right now with collecting, we did an episode. I think it was our third episode of the movie podcast.
The third episode
where we spoke about. Oh no, it wasn't the third episode, but it was like one of the first 10 episodes where we spoke about our collections, what we collect. And for me, obviously we spoke about posters, and I collected all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe art books. I'm officially retiring from collecting them.
Oh, you're announcing this live?
I'm announcing it live. So I'm only Is
the press ready for this?
So it was a strike. I just wanted to drop it. I wanted to drop this news. But yeah, the only ones that I'm going to get is No Way Home and Guardians from now. And I've had a couple, and I've actually sold the other ones that I had, but it's just the quality has gone down too much for me. Where it's just like, you know what, I can't justify spending, and the price has gone up. Yeah. So they used to be like $40.
Quality gone down, price gone up.
So it's like now they're like $90 a book, and there's no slipcover. The quality of the pages and the covers aren't as good as they used to be. So I'm like, I can't justify spending this much money, especially for all the projects that Marvel has dropped. I'm like,
you'll never catch up.
I have no home.
Yeah,
like,
it would just be
no way home.
It would just be
it's like all the Disney Plus series and the movies. It's like, and they're all delayed now, where they used to come out with the release of the movie. it's like it's impossible to and they're all coming out within like a week of each other.
Yeah.
This fall I'm like I can't spend like $4,000 on books. But yeah, I'm only going to get Guardians and Spider-Man to complete my trilogies of them, and then I'm officially retired from collecting these art books. Yeah. Unless something like really, really blows me away. But even then,
congratulations,
you know, thanks. That's huge. But I know it's silly, but like as collectors, as completionists, like you get to this point where you're just like, oh, I'm so invested in it now, but you can't. And I'm like, oh, where am I going to start? You start looking at other avenues, like, oh, am I going to start collecting movie vinyls? Because like you gave me the Batman one, and I was looking, I'm like, because I have a really bad completionist syndrome, where I'm like, oh man, like I want to get.
I did it on purpose for that reason.
You know, like because Mondo released all the Mission Impossible vinyls.
Yes,
and they're all so nice.
Pluto TV has all the Mission Impossible movies, by the way. Isn't that wild?
Which one?
Pluto TV.
Pluto TV, yeah,
has all the Mission Impossible.
All of them,
movies.
even Fallout.
Yeah, even Dead Reckoning's playing on that already.
Damn,
with commercials.
But yeah, like
I think you just, you get to a point. You have to like, it's such a habit, and it's also it consumes you. You just have to like let it go.
Yeah, you have to be accepting of like I can't buy every single Lego set. No. I can't buy every single book. I can't buy every single vinyl. I'll buy the ones that mean something to me.
I've stopped collecting now, like in the sense of like I've stopped collecting a certain thing. Yeah. It's now it could be whatever as long as it speaks to me.
Yeah.
As long as I see value in it, I'll buy it.
Like posters now, it's like the last poster.
Like a normal human being.
Yeah, it's like a healthy living. Yeah,
like it's like a good way of living. Yes.
Yeah, it's like it's but it's hard though, especially as like us being in this industry, we're always surrounded by like
always
look at this, unless something really is just like this is it. Then that Oppenheimer vinyl is really nice though.
It is really nice vinyl.
Stop!
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'll think about it.
Don't do it, man. Hey, comment Squawk Hawk. Tell Daniel not to do tweet him right now.
I would say maybe buy a vinyl player, so then you could play it.
But here's the thing, Anthony. I don't want a vinyl record player.
I don't
because like as much as I love, I listen to music and sound. I'd rather spend that money on headphones, which I did. Or like
you have a HomePod literally right here.
A HomePod here, but like you know, like if Apple comes out with the newer HomePod, like the bigger HomePod again, maybe I consider it. Just because I love sound and I love hearing it, and vinyl obviously sounds amazing, but I also just think that's too inconvenient.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I'm like, oh, I just want to, but I will collect it for the collector's sake of it. Just like my Marvel books, like I'll go through them and I'll look at it. The Batman, I'll look at it. I haven't opened it yet because it's so beautiful. But some of them you just kind of want it to have it. You know.
Mm-hmm. I get it, dude.
Yeah.
Just let it go, man.
Let it go.
What else are we talking? We're gonna play a game.
We're gonna play a game.
Let's play a quick game.
Play a quick game.
The actor game.
It's called Guess the Actor or Actress, or just guess the person. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna name some movies. What say your thing? You have.
I was gonna
your mouth is
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, he's not an actor. Yeah, he died.
I just want to say Lincoln again because I can't believe that movie made like
under
less than $1 million.
Domestic opening. Wild, right? So I'm gonna throw out some movies, and you have to figure out, whoever can figure it out, you guys just shout out, like raise your hand or whatever it is, who you think the actor or actress is, okay?
So wait, you're giving us the name of the movie?
Yeah. So I'll be like, XYZ the movie, and you were like, okay.
Okay.
And then you can either guess from there, or you can say, give me one more.
Is this like Family Feud? I have to push a button, or?
There's no buttons here. Just yell it out.
Okay, cool.
I'll pay attention, yeah.
So you're the moderator of this?
I'm moderating this, yeah.
So it's me versus Daniel.
Basically, yeah.
I'm going to lose.
Yeah. Spider-Man.
Tom Holland.
Into the Spider-Verse. He's not in that one.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing the actor?
Yeah, or you can guess one more movie. You can be like, oh, give me one more movie.
But so I'm trying to guess an actor right now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Haley Steinfeld?
No.
Childish Gambino. Oh, wait. Donald Glover.
Yeah, he wasn't in Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
Brian Tyree Henry?
No. I'll do another one more movie.
Okay.
Okay, let me find the film. Don't look at the screen.
I look because
yo, man, this guy has a whole mirror behind him.
I can't see it.
You can't see who it is, though. Yeah,
I can't see it. I only looked because I saw the screen moving.
I don't know his eyes. Like look at bionic eyes here.
Glass eyes.
Glass eyes.
We're the Millers.
And Into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
Oh. Was it Phil Lord?
Oh, no.
Actor or actress.
But they are actors and actresses.
They are. You're right.
Well, actor.
Catherine Hahn?
That's correct.
Catherine Hahn, right?
Catherine Hahn.
Yeah.
Oh yes, she
Yeah.
played.
Nick Offerman's wife,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
You're welcome.
I had to think, I'm
I
like,
would
who's
give
she-
that like a 5 out of 10. That's not a good one.
Oh my God.
Okay, let me think of somebody else.
It's tough because like when you just say the first movie, I'm like,
Dude, I was just yelling names.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then I
you
did-
started with all the wrong names too. Like this guy's not in the movie.
Tom Holland. He said Spider-Man, and that's the first thing I came to mind.
All right, let's see.
Oh.
Daniel, don't look at the screen.
I'm not looking at anything,
Don't
man. I
ask
can't
me,
see it.
man.
I literally just see it like moving in
You
front of me.
bastard.
You bastard.
All right. Deadpool 2.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I just knew you. I just knew it.
You did?
Yeah, I knew it was going to be it because it's just so... It couldn't be Reynolds because it was too on the nose.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who's the other guy that was in it that was... Brad Pitt. He was
Well,
only in
he
it for
was-
like 2
He
seconds,
was
right?
barely in it though.
I know. And I knew. And that was the
You're
reason.
like, I knew
Most
you
memorable
picked
performance
the most.
in Deadpool 2, Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt.
Okay, let's go for one more.
Let's see what he's going to come up with.
Okay. Jumanji: The Next Level.
Karen Gillan,
Jack Black.
Nick Jonas, Kevin Hart,
I don't even... who else is in that movie?
Dwayne Johnson. Imagine if Dwayne Johnson.
Danny DeVito?
There you go.
Danny DeVito. He plays the old
prospector.
who goes
The
into the video
old
game.
prospector.
Yeah, the old man.
We got to do the 6 Degrees. I think that was...
What's the 6 Degrees one? Do it.
6 Degrees
Well,
was...
we get a. How do you connect this actor to this actor?
Okay, so who wants to start?
So
then?
what was it? We were doing
it for fun. On the
we
TV.
were chilling and I'm like, oh, how are we connected to an actress?
Yeah.
And it
So-
was
Wait, how
like
we connected?
I mean, well, I mean, like
through
we
an
could-
interview. We were doing
through
it with our
interviews.
we were
with our
doing
own
it-
movie podcast lore. Yeah, that's
I forgot it was like I think it was Vanessa Kirby and we connected it somehow to us.
Henry Cherney.
That was quick.
That was fast.
No, but maybe it wasn't Kirby, but it was an actress.
2
I
degrees.
remember.
if
yeah,
we-
like yeah, we were so close to talking to them because they were this.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, like, let's think of like how can we connect?
like how we do the movie
So
stuff.
let's look at Barbenheimer. How do we connect Margot Robbie to Cillian Murphy?
Oh, okay.
To how do we connect
Margot Robbie
to Cillian
to
Murphy?
Cillian Murphy.
Has Margot done a movie with Rachel McAdams?
So Cillian did
Oh.
No.
Cillian did a movie
Oh, so-
with Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
Emily Blunt
It's Oppenheimer.
in Oppenheimer, but also in Quiet Place 2. Quiet Place 2 was directed by
John Krasinski.
John Krasinski. John Krasinski
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a weird way of doing it.
did a movie with Mike. Not Mike. He did a war movie.
Who?
Michael Bay. 13
Michael
Hours in
Bay.
Benghazi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Michael Bay
Yeah.
directed. Michael Bay directed Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
And Ben Affleck. How did
this would be Ben Affleck Suicide Squad, right? Or I was gonna say Yahya Abdul Mateen was in.
Oh yeah, Suicide Squad.
Aquaman.
Yeah,
Aquaman
you could
to-
go even like Leonardo DiCaprio, right? Like you try to find.
I was trying to
closer-
tie it to Leo, Ben Affleck and Leo, but I don't think they ever.
They've never done it. Yeah.
But it was. But Ben Affleck has.
Have they never been in a movie together?
Ben Affleck and Leo?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Interesting.
Or Will Smith, or Brad Pitt.
Well, Leo and Brad Pitt, yeah.
Leo,
and Brad
no,
Pitt,
I meant
yes.
like Ben and Brad Pitt.
Yeah, they have a picture together.
But I feel
okay,
like
that's good.
Yeah.
I feel
Can
like
we
there's a
link the
lot
picture
of. Am I past 6 degrees at that point?
I think so.
I think
Yeah.
you're
It's
like
like 45
43 degrees.
What's
yeah.
like? I feel like with all the actors in
there's more.
Oppenheimer, there's a way faster one of doing it.
Yeah.
There's a way. There's
most
just some that were-
obvious
There's
one.
a way faster
Yeah.
one.
That
That
was
was like
like,
Robert
oh.
Downey Jr. to like somebody to somebody.
Yeah, they were like, oh yeah, them too. Done.
But Cillian Murphy is very hard because he does a lot of like
Random.
random things, but also
And they're
very
also
British.
they're also with Nolan most of the time too, right? Oh wait,
Wait,
there.
right there.
Inception.
Inception.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wow, guys, that was a fast.
That was 4 degrees right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see?
so the Squawk Hawk right now listening. is like, you bastards didn't know the point. Get to that point.
Yeah, that was right there,
that
right
was fun.
there.
Yeah, it was,
was
on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Margot was in Oppenheimer. She voiced the
She
bomb.
might as well have been.
Yeah.
We're gonna do another one, or we're gonna end the show. Let's end this show.
Let's put us out of our misery.
Yeah, kill us right now.
As always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday and watch throughout the week.
Well, it's not
Especially-
every single Monday.
What?
It's not every single Monday night. It's like,
Yeah,
it's like
Most likely will be now with this.
oh yeah, now with
It'll
this
probably be twice in a week
Oh god.
because we'll have more things.
You know what we didn't talk about, but we'll talk about it a later date once we know like more information and more casting. David Corn Sweat and Rachel Brosnahan-Hannah's Superman.
We didn't
Lois.
talk about that?
We did not talk about
Yeah.
that. But let's talk about when we actually have a cast and everything proper.
There's
but my God,
there's
dude.
more. They've casted so many people.
Yeah, Hot Girl and
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, but
we'll talk about it another time. Next time.
But
Next time.
not every
Come on,
Monday.
come on.
But if
Monday?
if the strike
Monday?
is happening, it might be more.
Every week you'll get every single day brand new episode. of the
Every
Movie
day
Podcast.
you'll get a 1 hour and a
The
half
Movie
episode.
Podcast daily.
God.
You can follow us at the Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd, and YouTube. Subscribe and like. You could.
Anthony is in so much pain right now.
Yeah,
He's
else?
like,
I'm just
what?
trying to
Discord,
think.
Discord.
Discord, where
Yeah,
we're
we've
having
been-
great conversations.
Everybody's been joining,
Dude,
dude.
we
I
have
saw
an army.
Barack Obama join the other day.
Dude, we have an army.
Yeah. Oh, we do.
We have an army.
Okay.
At this point,
And we're
we
like,
could
we're like
fight.
BTS.
We could fight the American government.
I don't know if
We could definitely fight the Canadian
big of an
government.
army though. We could fight the
We
Canadian
could fight the Canadian government.
Yeah, yeah.
We're so sorry.
Have you seen that flag on Daniel's car?
What's
It's just like F
the
Trudeau
alt-right
on there.
one?
No.
And it's in like
Oh,
pride colors
no.
too. I was so
Gosh.
confused.
Dude,
It's I don't know what message you're sending right now. Who are you mad at?
Squawk
Also-
Hawk right now. He's just like, I
He's
like these
"Oh,
guys.
You know what? I was wrong. They're all substance.
Right into the show, we would love to hear from you, other than Discord, because I know you guys are all conversing on Discord. But send a little letter through hello at TheMoviePodcast.ca. What else?
That's okay.
You know, just end it, man.
Just end it.
Just end it. Pull the plug.
But we're gonna have a lot of things happening
will.
this week.
There's
too.
a lot. There's a lot.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We have the horror film from A24. The
Talk to me.
Talk to Me.
Good Omens.
Good Omens.
Yeah.
A lot of interviews happening. But yeah, stay tuned. That was This Time with the Movie Podcast.
And we'll see you next.